Hi, everybody. Welcome to our session for the day. We are ENRICH in the USA. This is our ecosystem showcase series. They were focusing on agri-food. We're going to be highlighting 3 ecosystems in the US, so Northern California, Philadelphia, and St. Louis. You'll hear a number of folks from ENRICH speak. So myself, I'm Jack Hinkle. I'm with MBIA. Sebastian Torre, who you see on the screen, is from EAEC. So we'll be giving you an introduction to the ENRICH program before we. I will go ahead and get. Okay, so just our agenda for today is this. So we're starting a few minutes late. Thanks for everyone for sticking with us. We're just ironing out some technical difficulties. So right now we're doing our overview of ENRICH and the partners. We are going to have guest speakers from the European Commission and Select USA. Shortly after that, and then through with our 3 ecosystems, so representatives from each of our ecosystems will talk about opportunities in the agri-food sector in their different ecosystems. That'll be about 45 minutes, and then after that we'll wrap up, and then we'll move on to our sessions, which is all the selected entrepreneurs will be pitching to our various ecosystems, and so. I'll describe how to get to the different parts of that as we move forward, but we'll be moving on from the stage to the sessions for the last couple hours of our presentations today. So, and we'll have a schedule of all the entrepreneurs that are presenting and the schedule for each of them and which ecosystems they're presenting. So we'll have all of that just a little bit further. So just so you know, these are the contacts and names of everyone from ENRICH. So it's Blondine, myself, and Sebastian are all giving you the introduction. And then also Bertram Milner, Herman, and Natalia. And there's also someone else from MBI, Monica Dierico. So you can find any of us on the People tab and send messages if you need help connecting. We'll be happy to help you get that up there. So ENRICH in the USA is funded by Horizon 2020. This is the biggest research innovation program in the Commission, for 77 million euro budget of funding over 7 years, which is wrapping up. They're instituting a new program. There's 100 billion in euro investment after 2020, and you can see the goals on the screen of creating a smart, sustainable, and inclusive economic growth, creating jobs, removing barriers to innovation. Supporting innovation, bringing ideas to the market, and developing research and investment. So ENRICH is a program, and it's been great to be a part of this program and see what we can do to move these initiatives forward through ENRICH in the USA. We have 9 partners on the ENRICH program you can see on the screen, 3 in the United States, 6 in Europe. And so you can see the mix of organizations here. Several of them are on the call today. And we'll have links to all these sites and the ENRICH website as we move forward, so you can see all the great work everyone is doing. And then the mission and goals for the ENRICH network is to reinforce and support innovation, exchange, and commercialization across the Atlantic, so supporting European research and innovation looking into the US. This is done through collaborative programs, curriculum, and soft landing. So on-the-ground programs and virtual, like we're doing today. Over time, we're looking to build a sustainable network of centers, hubs, and ambassadors in the U.S. to support this activity. ENRICH in the USA is only one initiative from the Commission, so there's also ENRICH in China, ENRICH in Brazil, and a couple of new initiatives possibly being funded in the future. So all supporting European research and innovation, looking to commercialize throughout the world. And the focus for our programs are deep tech, so technology research looking to get out into the market and be commercialized. So with this, I'm going to hand it off to Sebastian to continue with our introduction. Sebastian.
Thank you, Jack. Next slide. So we'll be focusing on the journey of the entrepreneurs, meaning European entrepreneurs going to the US, starting by learning about the market. And I don't have the new slide in front of me, but I can find it. Okay, so if you go to the journey of the entrepreneur, you can see that it's all about training the entrepreneurs, teaching them about the US. And then we organize tours and trips and immersion weeks so they can get to know the different markets. We replaced a few of those with those online sessions. We are doing this third session where we introduce the different locations in the US. So that's what we have been doing, replacing those tours and trips with those sessions. What we do also is, again, a lot of mentoring and training. We have a platform for mentorship that we're putting together for the next phase. We're talking about really a 3 years and a half program that's being extended to another 3 years and a half. So a lot of new tools and platform being put in place. And last but not least, making sure that those companies are getting introduced to investors and accelerators all around those centers and hubs that we are putting together. If you go to the next slide, you can see that we have put together centers and hubs, centers in San Francisco, Boston, DC, hubs around the US. We're talking about in total about 10 centers and hubs. The one that you see in red are the one participating today. And I want to thank them for their collaboration and looking forward to work with all of them and with what we call the ambassadors around the centers and hubs. As you can see, they are a lot university-centric. So we start with a university talking about a soft landing in that university, and we add all the players in that region working together and making sure that the soft landing is smooth. There's a nurturing environment. We talk about incentives in the region. So you will see in those questions in the Q&A we're having together in the next hour how we collaborate with those different players. We can go to the next slide. So in the next slide, you will see that we introduce you to all the speakers and participants in this session. So it's quite comprehensive, and we're going very deep into, in 1 hour, but very deep into all the different participants, what they do, how they collaborate, how the startups are benefiting. So all those global startups coming from Europe, how they are being engaged. So these are all the names of the participants, and we will share all their bios. We already did a little, but the finalized document will be shared again. So you can have all the names and contact information and have their background. We can go to the next slide. I would like to introduce you to Michael Feith. Michael Feith coming from the European Commission, working on the project, European Investment Project Portal. We'll leave him the floor. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian. You understand me loud, clear? Do you?
I do.
Yes. Okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Thanks a lot. So good morning and good afternoon already to the European attendees. Thanks for the invitation. Michael Feith, I work for the European Commission as policy officer, and I'm based in Luxembourg. I'm dealing with financing programs, including the European Investment Project Portal. We are cooperating with ENRICH, and we are very grateful for the opportunity that some of our project promoters, startups, have the opportunity to present their projects to the US ecosystems. So the next slide, please. Yeah, thanks. The Investment Project Portal is the EU's matchmaking tool, a database granting visibility to projects for which project promoters seek financing, and that provides investors with information about investment opportunities. It contains more than 1,000 projects from various economic sectors and around 100 from agriculture, All in all, we have an investment volume to present of more than 60 billion euros. The projects are all pre-screened by Commission Service, and they contain many projects also supported by Horizon 2020, including also some Seal of Excellence projects. Interested investors can contact projects by one click and also receive tailor-made notifications based on their chosen interests. We are very happy that many of the projects have already found investors to finance their project. In addition to that portal, that does not provide direct funding, but it acts as a bridge between EU-based projects and the investors worldwide. There are also some other EU-level financing instruments for innovative companies listed on this slide as well. So it could be loans or equity investments that the Commission provides in cooperation with the European Investment Bank, or grants and maybe also loans under the Horizon 2020 program. So these are the largest sources of financing for entrepreneurs. And I had already the occasion to listen to some previous events organized by ENRICH and the presentations of the different US ecosystems, and their approaches really impressed me. I believe we can profit a lot from them, hoping that you can also benefit from the European projects. Just let me finish saying that agriculture is a wide-spanning topic, and of course one of the foundations of humankind. It ranges from production, transport and trade to health, food safety and sustainability, and there's a lot of technology involved, topic of today's discussion. And I'm curious about the presentation of today and have a look on these technologies. I wish you a very good virtual meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you a lot, and thank you for. We should have Bill Burwell from Select USA presenting, but I'm going to let the floor to Blondine, as it could be a transition. I mean, maybe waiting for Bill. So, Blondine.
Hi. Hi. So we have some technical issues, and right now the Select USA team cannot share their video and screen. But I would like to thank Select USA and your support, Bill, but also his team, especially Nikki and Jacqueline. Hopefully by the end of that presentation, you will be able to join us. Jack, can you just push the next slides? So Select USA is part of the federal government and under the US Commercial Service, and they have a lot of events on their website and activities, so have a look. And their next Select USA Summit will be next year in June. So that's it. Sorry you couldn't connect, but thank you for helping us out. So as Sebastian mentioned, we're going to dive, we have 1 hour to dive into 3 ecosystems. So it's very intense, a lot of speakers. We're going to give you tips and information about North California, Philadelphia, where I'm located, and St. Louis in Agri-Food. After that, you will have, some of you got selected to pitch to those ecosystems. So write down your questions and you will be able to ask your questions. So we're going to start with North California. And Jack, can I have the next slide? So and our first questions to Roger, actually, how do you position North California ecosystem in the agri-food industry? What are the verticals, the key players and opportunity?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me here. I assume you can hear me all right. So I work with a lot of agricultural technology companies, and these are companies from all over the world that come into the United States, and especially into California. This is a $50 billion a year agricultural market. It's by far the largest state in the country in agriculture. So as you can see, it's a big market. It's also a technology center. So you see a lot of technologies being developed here or being deployed out in the field. It's a great place for agriculture technology. We have a Silicon Valley conference here. We have a program. We had an incubator for a year. And now we have an innovation network where we connect tech companies with the farms, with the agricultural communities. And that could be the growers, it could also be the big agricultural companies themselves. And we do this all over the world. We started here in Silicon Valley, but as you can see from this conference or this presentation, it is a global system. So to really get into the Northern California system, marketing is very difficult. It's a tough, agriculture is a tough market to get into. We find that with technology companies everywhere. And that's why we formed our group. It really requires having good local presence, not only good technology that farmers can trust, but also to have good people that have the trust of the farmers so you can get the products into the market. Major industries right now, vertical farming is really coming along. I'm seeing a lot about supply chain because of what's going on in the world lately. Technologies that improve the supply chain. Food safety obviously has become a big issue, and people and consumers are becoming much more sensitive to things like packaging, waste, damage, and transit. It's sort of a supply chain related issue. CRISPR technologies, of course, but here in Northern California, a lot of it just has to do mostly with data and robotics, just reducing the cost and promoting what we call precision agriculture, getting the maximum yield, maximum output from the minimum inputs. So companies that focus on that and have good technologies and have good deep connections here in California will do well.
So much, Roger. Actually, Jack, perfect. So we have your list of your main industry. Now we are going to ask the same question to Philadelphia, and I would like to invite Pierre-Olivier and Laura. Can you join us as well?
So I'm there. I don't know if Laura can. But all right. Yay.
So we are very lucky today. We have a representative of Philadelphia and of the state of Pennsylvania introducing us agri-food verticals in the region. Thank you.
Sure, our pleasure. You can go directly to our slides. I'm sure you'll be circulating our bios and that kind of thing. I'm Pierre-Olivier from the city of Philadelphia, which sits in the middle of a 6.5 million metro area, which itself sits in the middle of a very highly productive region, agriculturally speaking, with a very fertile soil and never a problem with water shortage within a very hour drive radius. So when companies show here, or our companies are very fortunate in enjoying a very diverse and dense agricultural sector in the heart of the most populated and densest market in the US. It's the middle of the Northeast corridor. So you have access to, within a few hours, within one day's drive, to 60 million people. So Laura, maybe you can give us a landscape a little bit of the state.
Sure. As was mentioned, we are sitting in a very metropolitan area with access to a lot of other markets, and that makes it a really good situation for agriculture in Pennsylvania. And we are a very diverse agriculture, not only in the products that we produce, but also in the type of farmers that we have across the state. And especially when you start looking at Southeast Pennsylvania, where you have our urban farming operations that are starting to, from community gardens to more structured type of farming enterprises. But we cover a lot from dairy is big in our state, but other livestock as well, with beef production, and in some parts of the state getting into goat and sheep production. We have a wide variety of nursery and greenhouse crops. Fruits and vegetables are very big here in Pennsylvania. We are we have the nation's capital, if you will, for mushroom production here in Pennsylvania, and then nearby too with corn and blueberries. And Christmas trees. The hardwood industry is a very big, and forestry industry are very big in Pennsylvania as well. So you can see we are very diverse, and we offer that here in Pennsylvania and to those who are looking to begin agricultural operations here as well.
Yeah, and so tying it back with the urban area, which is Philly, in the middle of between New York and DC, where you have access to like ports, which have the necessary infrastructure to do trading on those commodities. All the infrastructure access, railroad, warehousing, logistics. You have all that industry, and all the research that goes with it to make it more efficient. We are lucky, for instance, to have the largest refrigerator in the world in a single building here in South Philly for our fresh produce bulk market. But past that, from an industry perspective, food and beverage processing is huge. We're first for chips and pretzels, canned fruit, chocolate. Hershey's here, a big name in the States, less known in Europe, but huge for chocolate processing. We're the first port of import for cocoa beans, that type of thing. So with that, we also have a quite large farm equipment manufacturing industry I'm less familiar with. I don't know if Laura wants to say something about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in too, just, I do work for the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. And, one of the things that we look at too, in terms of when you look at the structure and the infrastructure here too, that, a role we can play is really being a connector and providing resources, to those interested in the partners that we work with as well. So I just want to make sure I said that also.
Thanks. Yeah, and in terms of connectivity, so I'm very urban. I'm at the city. I look very much to sectors such as life sciences, pharma, chemistry, R&D, whatever is university-based, and we're lucky to have in the region over 100 universities and colleges with all their R&D center. We'll be hearing from Temple soon. But with linking our agricultural sector and all of those other fields are absolutely at the heart of what Philadelphia does best, especially in the life sciences and biotech. I'll give you two examples. Out of Philly, we've had Invisible Sentinel, which is a company which has developed rapid pathogen testing based on DNA and molecular detection, and their goal was to be bought by bioMérieux. So if you're European, you know that name. So that's the type of companies we produce out of our ecosystem, and that's also the type of company we welcome into our ecosystem. So yeah, food and any step of the industry, you'll find the R&D in our region and a welcoming environment for that. And I believe we're slowly reaching our 5 minutes, so I don't want
Perfect. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Pierre-Olivier. So now we're going to hear from Walter with Centris Ecosystem.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Walter Gassman. I'm coming from a maybe slightly different side. I'm very much a plant scientist, so I'm not intimately involved in business, but I'm representing here, I would say, the heartland. The University of Missouri is located in Columbia, about 2 hours away from St. Louis, where, of course, we have large agricultural, the previous Monsanto, now Bayer, that we have very strong connections with, and in terms of research with the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center, also located in St. Louis. So the University of Missouri is the first public university west of the Mississippi, and has a long, strong tradition in plant genetics. Personally, I study the plant immune system, and the plant that you see on the left lower corner there is Arabidopsis, and the main cultivar that everybody works with is called Columbia for this location here. George Redeye was a geneticist who popularized it. So a long history. Barbara McClintock also started working on transposons here. So we are driven by the basic research that then branches over to applications. And as a public university, we are, of course, also very much involved in the training of the knowledge workers that the agricultural field needs. Currently, I'm also serving as the interim director of the Life Science Center. On the next slide, I just want to introduce a little bit. It's a very interdisciplinary research center with researchers from 5 different colleges. So we are unique maybe on this campus that we have a medical school, veterinary school, an ag school, and actually a research reactor, which we use for radiopharmaceuticals, but also for tracers for plants to study how nutrients are transported within a plant, for example. And we have a lot of technology that we use both for medical and agricultural research. There are some examples on this slide. And I'd like to point out that the proteomics core, for example, was funded by a grant by what was Monsanto at the time. So a strong connection with the business community in St. Louis in getting our technology, our research to the highest level. Next slide, please. So the College of Agriculture is one of the strongest in terms of federal granting. We often rival the medical school in how many federal grants we bring in, and we have fantastic infrastructure to do our research. And that is, of course, also open to collaborations with partners, for example, at the Danforth and with industry. And what you see in the upper right is, for example, a rainout shelter where we can do controlled experiments on drought and greenhouse facilities. We just opened up a new greenhouse facility with over 2,000 square meters of greenhouse space. Some of the greenhouses are over 6 meters tall, so we can grow bioenergy crops and trees and do research on them. And we're very well connected to the Office of Research and Economic Development and its Technology Advancement Office. And I'm just listing some examples of the basic research that has been performed in the Life Sciences Center that has led to invention disclosures and patents. Jay Thielen, for example, a biochemist, is working on lipid composition of seeds. Gary Stacy in the Division of Plant Sciences studies bacterial nitrogen fixation and plant growth promoting bacteria. And Bing Yang, who is a joint hire between the University of Missouri and the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center in St. Louis, is a world expert on crop genome engineering and is developing tools and plans for that. So I think we integrate vertically by the training of people and by developing technology that we then partner with partners in St. Louis a lot, but all over the world to bring it then to applications. And with that,
thank you, Walter. So thank you for all our experts. You will see them again in each of their ecosystems later. So now we're moving to the second questions that I'm sure is the one you're most excited about. We're going to show you you're going to hear what are the opportunities for a pilot, what are the investments and investors in the three ecosystems. So once again, we're going to start with North California, and I invite Judy to tell us a little bit more about the opportunities in your universities and around. Judy, are you here? Oh, perfect. Hi.
Thank you. So we're located, good morning, everyone. We're located in San Luis Obispo. We're exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles. The Cal Poly State University runs a Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So we're very active on campus with the students, but we also have a very large incubator program in downtown San Luis Obispo. We work on average with about 24 startups full-time in the incubator program. And we have a very well-developed access. My background is as a corporate and securities attorney. I worked in Silicon Valley for many years. We have developed a very strong network of relationships with angel groups and venture funding firms. On average, we raise about between $20 and $30 million in capital funding for the startups in our program. One of our beacon events is we do an angel conference every year. We create a new fund every single year. We invite investors, high net worth individuals within our network to participate in a fund. We train these new investors to become angel investors. and we help them do due diligence and select a winning startup at a big event that we do once a year. So that's a very, very popular event that we hold every year. So that's kind of the overview. Also, I just wanted to highlight that Cal Poly University, we have a College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences. Our College of Ag is ranked number 4 in the US. We have a Center for Wine and Viniculture. We have an Agricultural Research Center, and we have a strawberry, a center focused on the growth of strawberries. And others too, but those are some that I wanted to highlight. So very well-developed resources in ag, and also we're in the heartland of thriving wine industry in the Paso Robles, our North County area. Yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you, Judy. So we are going to move to Philadelphia, and I'm really pleased to introduce you to friend and colleague Mark with Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Mark, can you join us?
He's connecting right now.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, good. So I'm Mark Traybold from Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Ben Franklin I'm not going to go into my bio, you can see it there, but Ben Franklin is a not-for-profit seed investor. Not-for-profit's a very, very odd concept. We're not typical VCs or angel investors. We're an economic development group with a mission to create jobs and grow the revenue of the companies that we in Pennsylvania. We do about $6 to $8 million in 30 to 50 companies every year, and that gives us an active portfolio of about 225 companies, which makes us among the top 10 investors in the United States in terms of number of deals. We have 3 sectors. We look at IT companies, health and life science companies, and then what we call physical science companies. Physical science is where Agri-Food or ag tech would reside. And I happen to be the investment director for all of our physical sciences investments. I also lead a program called FabNet. I bring that up because we talk about proof of concept. FabNet is a network of service providers, makers, machine shops, robotics, all 3D printers, all kinds of technologies where people can come to us with their ideas or with a rough model, and we'll actually provide grants and connect them with our FabNet network to enable them to develop their proof of concept or their prototype. So what are we seeing trends in agri-food? Prior to COVID, looking at, there was value-added farm commodities. How can they add value? Maybe a lettuce producer, instead of just providing lettuce, would provide packaged lettuce. But then in this post-COVID economy now, sometimes those unique verticals, unique products were not available, and people have learned to like and the everyday product. So is there going to be that opportunity for that vertical going like there was in the past? That's something to watch. We're looking at ag tech as a sector to watch. We see that we've seen lower valuations, but given the impact of kind of food security during the pandemic, it looks like this could be a good place to grow. And confirmation of that, recently the national, this is brand new information. This was just announced this month. National Science Foundation has set up a engineering research center at Penn called IoT for Ag. There's 4 universities involved with government and industry partners and investors. That's where we come in. We're a partner in this as well. And their objective is to ensure food, energy, and water security while minimizing waste and ecological impact. So Penn will lead this. It's a 5-year, $26 million project. They're going to focus on 3 areas: low-cost sensors, communication and cloud technologies, and then autonomous aerial and ground-based robots and drones. And finally, you know, the ultimate objective is to spin out these technologies into commercial products, and that's where we come in. So drilling down specifically to what Ben Franklin has seen recently, Pierre-Olivier mentioned we've seen in the area urban and vertical farms, some food processing and recycling. Recycling is an interesting concept. I don't even know if that's the right word, but the example there is I spoke with a woman recently who was wondering if anything could be done with avocado seeds, because tons of them are disposed of on a weekly basis. So it turns out she was able to process these seeds, make a very healthy iced tea drink, and she launched a couple of weeks ago, and now she's looking for her next kind of a food waste or a waste stream product. Then we have some ag tech investments where we see some LED lighting, adjustable wavelengths, some plasma technologies where plasma treated water and plasma treated air provide a nitrogen rich environment for plants. And then finally, in the area of automation, we've got companies that do moisture sensors in soil, AI drones. So we've invested in a company that will do aerial shots of crops for farmers. And then also we've got one that actually is getting a lot of traction out in California industry. This is an autonomous 4-wheeler that will drive around and assist these berry pickers, so they don't have to. They can reduce labor, and this thing actually knows where to go, knows where to drop off the berries, and knows how to come back. So it's pretty interesting. While Philadelphia isn't really thought of as an ag-centric area, there are a lot of activities going on in the Philadelphia area, and we're here to invest in these startups.
Thank you, Mark, and hopefully you will see some interesting startup later with us. So now we are moving to St. Louis, and I'm glad to introduce you to Tad, who will tell us a little bit about the companies he's investing in.
Thank you. So yes, welcome to St. Louis, and we're really in the center of the United States and really in the center of agricultural production. 75% of U.S. agricultural production passes really through the St. Louis area. We're here on the Mississippi River, so a lot of the commodity production that happens around us to east, west, and north passes right by our riverfront here in St. Louis. But we're also very focused on innovation and ag tech development, and a lot of that really you've heard a little bit about before. People like organizations like Bayer here with their global ag crop sciences program and research programs that they have here. The Danforth Plant Science Center, the largest independent plant science research organization in the world, is here, and they do a lot of work with early stage companies, research that they can have in their facilities. There are many programs that they run to support that, and we have a number of other organizations. One statistic we like to talk about is we have the highest concentration of PhD plant scientists in the world, but there are several other things to think about along those lines. What people don't know is we have the highest concentration of pet food companies in the world in St. Louis, and we have one of the highest concentrations of financial services in the world. FinTech is very strong, as well as the ag tech in our community here. A lot of startups, and definitely we have in our portfolio at the Yield Lab several companies that cross from FinTech into to ag tech. Here on the slide, you'll just see a list of some of the different sources of funding. different kind of capital funding, going from some that are more later stage in the Series A or even more operating companies to others that are very early stage, providing grants, like in the case of Arch Grants, where it's a non-dilutive grant, $50,000, very competitive, but a very well-run mentoring program. And I'll just quickly give a little shout out to the Yield Lab and what we do. We started 6 years ago here in St. Louis as an early stage accelerator program, putting $100,000 into each company and taking them through a non-residential, roughly 9-month mentoring program. And we continue to work with the companies as they progress. We launched programs also in Europe, which has an open right now for applications, and into Latin America and into Asia. And we've seen many of our companies that have come through from one region to another. So we've seen companies that have come from Ireland. We have a company that we've invested in that's now working in China. And we've had companies from Argentina that have actually come into the North American market, and we've helped make those bridges for them. So we have a lot of different sources of funding, a lot of different mentoring opportunities, and good connections then with the local farming communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, your European program is open until the end of the month. It's up to 100,000 euros of funding. So please have a look, go on their website, and you can apply. Thank you so much. So we're going to move to the last questions. What are the supports, the different support and programs in the different ecosystems? Maybe only available to you once you have a person, an office in the US, not all of them, but most of them. But before that, there are a lot of opportunities for you to receive support and mentoring. So we are going to start with North California, and I invite Gary to join the stage. Thank you.
Having me, I was asked to talk briefly about myself, so I'll do that first. My background is mostly in sales and marketing. That's how I came up in tech, not in agriculture, but broadly in tech. Been in the Bay Area for, I don't know, 35 years or so. And then did my own consultancy in B to Big B, how to get into large corporations, which is a very different type of skill base than either consumer or small business. And it requires a much longer sale. And it's probably a way for folks in this particular industry to think about how to get into either farms or into big companies. And then co-founded Tech Futures Group. So let me turn to Tech Futures Group. We're a nonprofit. We provide free business advice to tech companies. Our services are completely free. We're funded by the Small Business Administration and the state of California. So everybody on our side gets paid, but the services are completely free to our clients. We are not focused on an industry, so we accept companies from all industries. We have contacts in a lot of different funding organizations where our funders want us to help companies raise money and become successful in the marketplace. You can go to the next slide. Our services are supposed to be focused exclusively on Northern California, but because we're funded by the state of California, we also can work with other companies inside the state. The Small Business Administration, which is a federal grant, allows anywhere. And European companies or international companies can be helped by us, can become a Tech Futures Group client, but you need to have someone located physically in our area. So ideally in Northern California, it doesn't have to be San Francisco Bay Area. It could be Sacramento or any parts north or east to the two borders. So we're happy to help with companies there. Let's see. I mean, the other thing is that we work with companies at every stage of maturity. from, idea only, no corporate structure, no nothing basically, maybe a researcher out of a lab, all the way to an established company. Our sweet spot is a founding team has been recruited with a beta or prototype product. And then we work with companies at all stages of funding, from, founders giving money, or friends and family, all the way up to Series A. Our sweet spot is in the earlier stages, angel seed, as well as government grants. Most of the government grants we work with are only for companies that are 51% owned by American citizens. So the way it works with Tech Futures Group, you apply. If we like what we see, we will then send your application to one of our lead advisors. We call them entrepreneurs in residence, serial entrepreneurs who've had a good exit or two. And they provide strategic business advice, CEO level to CEO level advice, and then bring in our specialty advisors, also paid by us, free to you, IP, intellectual property. We don't provide legal advice, but we'll help you understand the issues in terms of intellectual property, manufacturing. We've done a lot of work with manufacturing, then the government grants, and then finally help with financial modeling, so that you're better prepared for pitches to VCs and angels. And of course, we help with that. So that on that slide, you'll see there's all the advising expertise we provide. I've gone through most of that and who will do it. We've been very successful over the last 7 years since we've been funded or started. We've helped our companies raise about $325 million in equity and grants. Last year we did about 114, so we really ramped up last year. We work with between 200 and 300 companies per year. So that's how many companies we work with. In the ag space, what we see mostly is a lot of drones, a lot of food safety, a lot of tracking, a lot of imaging, that kind of a thing. But one of the things we look at when we work with a company is, where else can your technology be used? So we often will pivot people away from their primary sort of focus to another. It could be into ag or out of ag. So we'll make sure that we look at your technology as opposed to just the market itself. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. I want to add one thing for certain federal grants. If you are owned by green card holders, 51%, it could work as well. You don't need to be citizens sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
that's my mistake.
And I want to say that SBDCs, Small Business Development Centers, like Gary, like Judy, and like Temple that we're going to present just after, have been such great partners for ENRICH. And thank you for joining us.
Yes, let me just add one thing. Let me just add one thing there. In terms of the Small Business Development Center, we are part of the SBDC network. We support 18 SBDCs throughout the state. There's a huge number of our SBDCs that work with agriculture, so we have direct links into their services as well.
And basically, as you mentioned, once you're in the US physically and you want to create a business in a specific locations, the local SBDC can help you. Doesn't matter your immigration status, doesn't matter if you have or not created a company in the US yet, but that you want.
Correct.
So thank you so much. And I'm going to welcome Tony with Temple University, who is also a SBDC location. Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Gary.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Anthony Bruno. Just a little bit about me. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur with 30 years in small business. I've owned a private consultant business or two in the last 15 years. I have extensive experience in both the financial industry as well as the food and hospitality industries. And I've been a community builder and advocate for things like early childhood education and equitable food access most of my life. I represent Temple University. We are an R1 Research One institution with more than 35,000 students and a $250 million annual research budget funding. We have 17 schools and colleges with 100 plus programs of study. We are housed in 8 different campuses, including Philadelphia, suburban Philadelphia and Ambler, where I'm based out of, all the way to Rome and Tokyo. Our annual outside capital into advanced technologies is about $440 million. We are an integrated hub for office and technology commercialization and business development. Our SBDC and its ENRICH incubator program has been around since 2019 and has hosted several different guests who are enjoying some success. And the campus that I work out of is our Ambler Campus. It's a 187-acre living laboratory with over 100 years of horticulture and business history. We are a suburban campus, which is tied very strongly to our primarily urban institution. Our goal to help agri-food startups, international agri-food startups, is for access to things like infrastructure with green field space, as well as things like high tunnels and our research gardens, office and production space, as well as education space and access to educators. We also look to help with visa support and sponsorship. One of the things we enjoy bringing to the table is expertise and experience. We have had, for the last 65 years, we've had research gardens and greenhouses. Our landscape architecture and horticultural degree departments are housed at our Ambler campus. We also have aquaponics and hydroponic and soil research programs housed at our campus. We offer mentorship and educational opportunities, as well as many of our research grower and producer partners who are interested in working with us and some folks as they come on. One of our shared focus is precision agriculture, as well as food transformation, and a passion for working with small producers who seek to grow our region's biodiversity with an eye towards food justice and equitable food access. It'll help food startups recognize and address critical issues and niches in the agri-food market. Our campus is also fortunate enough to be able to leverage Temple University Small Business Development Center's services, which, as the gentleman who spoke before talked about, some of the things that our SBDC can offer is assistance with licensure, as well as contract review with IP and legal assistance at no cost, assistance with strategic management, and access with assistance to access capital, and as well as access to our turnkey soft landing program. One of the most important things to consider is that Temple is open for collaborative projects as well. For example, we have supported this round with 3 NGI Explorer projects, all of which have been selected, and we're excited to start working with them in the near future. That's about all I have.
Thank you, Tony.
For right now.
It's such a pleasure working with you. Thank you, Tony. So last but not least, I'm glad to introduce you to Janet, who's going to present you the support and infrastructure of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Janet, can you connect?
Yeah. Janet, I don't see your request. I know we tested it. You can try to connect. Let's see. Still don't see it. Yep. Janet, if you can try to connect and share your video. No, still don't see it.
Janet, we give you a few minutes for you to connect. In the meantime, I would like to give the mic to Sebastian, who's going to present our next event, and also Nick. Yes, perfect.
Okay, yes, as we wait for Janet. So thank you again. Great presentation. A lot of information. Hope nobody is overwhelmed, because we go very deep into all those programs and incentives. And so thank you all for participating and sharing all that information with us. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the next activities. As you can imagine, we do a lot of online events, or participate to online events, or co-organize online events. So we're just finishing an ESDP program, which is for researchers to become entrepreneurs and to look at the US market. So that's really for PhDs and researchers that are thinking of launching their venture different ways. We will be presenting Nick very soon from Silicon Valley Forum, which is an event just after this one at 10 a.m. PST, which is 1 p.m. EST, and I will let Nick explain a little further that event, which is also focusing on AgTech. We are working on matchmaking event. You've seen a lot of online matchmaking events, and one of them is Games Match. We've been working on that event with Enterprise Europe Network for every year. It's really in the gaming industry, but as you know, that space is there's a lot of synergies with other industries. I'm going to finish that slide. I would definitely give you, a chance to present Janet. Then we work with we have the announcement of this webinar pitch session next week. That's September 1st. Our participation at an event with NIH, September 9th. Smart City Live is Smart City Expo in Barcelona. Everything will be done online because of COVID, and that's November 16. And we're still working on a COVID platform, a matchmaking platform, making sure that all those great suppliers are connecting between the US and Europe. And Janet, I will let you the floor. Thank you.
Janet, I think we should be able to.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much. I wanted to present the ag tech ecosystem in St. Louis. I'm sorry. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much. I wanted to present the ag tech ecosystem in St. Louis.
Janet, you may have two windows open.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much. I wanted to present the...
Janet, you may have two windows open. Sorry for those technical difficulties. We're using this new platform. Next event will be a bit more used to it. So Janet, join us when you can. I invite Nick. Can you join us, Nick, to present your event which is happening just after this one?
Good morning. I take that as a yes. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me be a part of this wonderful program. I've learned so much already. And as Blandine and Sebastian said briefly, Silicon Valley Forum will be hosting our own ag tech events today and tomorrow as part of our annual Seeds of Our Future event. So just to give you a brief outline of what we do at Silicon Valley Forum, we're a Bay Area nonprofit that focuses on connecting the world to Silicon Valley and Silicon Valley to the world. We engage with startups, with governments, with corporates around ideas of innovation, ag tech being one of our most cherished sectors that we focus on. Every year we hold an annual summit and forum called Seeds of Our Future. This will be our 5th year, and unfortunately it is virtual, but we're excited to bring 2 topics on this set of issues. The first one is, as Blandine said, right after this at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that's focused on ag tech startups. So having a conversation with some startups and some investors about what's happening in that industry. And then tomorrow morning, we're having a discussion on how to build resiliency in our food systems using technology. So as we've seen through the time of COVID, our food systems have been disrupted multiple times. We've had farmers dumping products. We've had shelves left empty. So we're going to take a close look at that issue and how technology may be able to solve some of those supply chain problems. Besides that, just really excited to be a part of this event and to support your mission going forward. So thank you so much for having me on and having me participate.
Thank you so much, Nick. Janet, can you reconnect by chance? So we will move on. Unfortunately,
So I can introduce our team in the meantime.
Yes.
And if you go to the next slide, as you can see, the other different participants of this program, Jack from ANBIA, and also you want to introduce Jack yourself and I think your colleague. I don't think we listed. We have also.
Yep. So I'm our director of programs. Monica's our project administration manager, and so you can all be in the St. Louis room after this. And Monica will be sort of bouncing around helping with on the event side, so you can always message either one of us. But yeah.
And you are from INBIA. What is INBIA in one sentence?
Yeah, right. That probably missed that most important part, right? Focus on the event. So INBIA, we're the International Business Innovation Association. We're basically a nonprofit membership association for entrepreneurship centers. So we support incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces. Anyone that helps entrepreneurs can be a part of our network, and that's who we support and provide programs for.
Thank you, Jack. So we have also Blondine, who's been helping a lot and setting up this event. We have also, I think, on the phone, Herman and Bertrand. So Blondine is responsible for the soft learning program with universities. And again, all those bios are listed, and you will be able to access the whole document after the event, which has been already shared. Herman, I don't know if you're here, if you want to connect yourself just for a minute, just to say hi. Herman is specialized in ag tech. He's our expert, and Bertrand is our expert in food tech. And I want to make sure that they have a chance to say hi. So just have to click on the right screen and share their screen and the microphone. And so whoever wants to start, Herman and or Bertrand, as we are waiting for Janet to connect.
See, I'm still waiting for either for Herman or Bertrand. I don't see their requests either.
Well, we can move on. If you can show the last slide. So if Bill or Janet,
clicking on the screen is not natural. It's not what happens on Zoom. So waiting for Janet, or if not, we will announce the next. The next session. As you can see on your left, on the left of your screen, you have a button that says sessions. You will see the 3 different sessions, so 3 different rooms, where the startup will be pitching to their ecosystem, with the participants, the speakers that we invited, but also other participants. The way it's distributed is on the screen. Everybody received their program, their agenda, plus a calendar invite to make sure that they will log that time. We might be a little late on the time, so we should start very soon. If Janet cannot come back, we'll make sure that all that information she has been sharing, or she was ready to share, will be shared another way, PowerPoint, etc. So look at the screen, make sure you go to the right room, and we will meet you in those rooms. I will be responsible myself for Northern California. You will have Philadelphia with Blondine, and St. Louis with Jack and Herman, and I think Bertrand will be with Blondine, and I will be with Natalia. I didn't check if Natalia was here, but I think she would have said hi. So I guess Janet, yeah, I guess you could not reconnect. So
But you will
everybody,
see there are a lot of investment in infrastructure in St. Louis and a lot of collaboration as well. So on your left of your screen, you have stations, and it's written now. So you will click on it, and you go to either North California, Philadelphia, or St. Louis. We will see you there. And I'm looking for vertical field in Philadelphia, Omni Opti for North California with Sebastian, and Vivi Grass-fed Farm for St. Louis with Jack. Thank you. See you in a few minutes.
see you there. Thank you all. And sorry, Janet. Talk to you very soon.